Leeds, obviously, love them or hate them, they're a big club. That must have been like, they're not in the greatest position at that time, but it must have been like, wow, playing at Ellen Road, like 40,000 fans, huge moment for you then, yeah.
Yeah, obviously Sheffield Wednesday was a big club, but I think as a club, Leeds is just. I think one of the things is it's the only club in the city, right? So it's like the club is just you just go in. It's like 2 hours before a game, there's fans waiting for autographs, and this is still in League One, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm blown away. And there's I think there was probably 25,000-30,000 fans every single week in League One, and they just love the club. And even to this day, there's I didn't play that many games for Leeds, but even to this day, I still have a rapport with the fans, with a lot of the fans. So it's once you're part of that group of players at Leeds, it's like the fans take you in as family.
And then was it who was the manager who brought you in then? There was it Simon Grayson or?
No, Gary McAllister.
Gary McAllister. Okay, so again, you're playing under a bit of a legend, bit of a Liverpool connection there for you as well. How did you settle in at Leeds there first few weeks, first few games?
So again, debut scored on my debut in Leeds. Obviously Leeds had if you look at the squad that we had those couple of years, it was most of those players went and played in the Prem. So like Johnny House and Jermaine Beckford, Bradley Johnson, Max Gradle, Snodgrass. We had some top players in that team in League One. Fabian Delph obviously won Premier League and stuff like this. So we had top players, and it's so obviously there's going to be competition for places. I understand they had a big budget for League One. So, but I was like, you know what, this is came in, scored on my debut. Next game, I'm on the bench. Cup game against Crystal Palace, who were in the Championship. I think I come off the bench and score, and then I'm kind of just I'm just kind of left out for a bit after that. And then it's just again, it's just strange occurrences, just left out. Come back into the team in December, Tranmere always score again first. So even the assistant manager, I think we lose that game 2-1, but even the assistant manager's to me, we need more of that from you. And I'm like, but I need to play. I can't do it if you don't play.
To do it.
You just got to let me play. And then even after I scored against Tranmere, when he brings me back in the starting lineup, the next week I'm on the bench again. So I'm like, okay, this is just, I don't know what's happening. There was no real communication, not really telling me why or anything like that. And then I think a week after that, he put me back in the starting lineup for a game, and then I was struggling. And then at that point in my career where it's I actually got a blood clot on my lungs, and then I was out for the rest of that season. I was out for the rest of that season in 7 months. A week after I was diagnosed, I think Gary McAllister gets sacked. This is just before Christmas. So Simon Grayson comes in. I come in just to introduce myself to Simon Grayson, and then but for 6 months he's building a team and working with players that he wants to, and I can't be part of it because I couldn't train with the team for 7 months. I was on blood thinners for 6 months. So I come in that next season, pre-season. Okay, this is a new start. At that point, doctor said I may never play football again as well. So that's when I started my master's in finance at Leeds Beckett. So that second season, I was
something that was discovered at Leeds, during training, with the medical staff there, or
no? It was a weird one. So it's the day Gary McAllister tells me I'm back in the starting lineup. We're doing team shake and all that kind of stuff. And I feel my chest wheezing, and I'm like can't really breathe. And he's like, go see the doctor. It was a Thursday. He's like, go see a doctor. I see the doctor, and I said, Doc, I feel like I'm getting stabbing feelings in my ribs. He's like, take a deep breath, and he's like, your lungs are fine, blah blah blah. The Friday, manager says, okay, well, didn't say anything, just says I'm not in the starting lineup because he obviously thought I wasn't good, but didn't ask me, by the way. Just putting that out there. Didn't really ask me, but he just didn't put me in the starting lineup. But I'm on the bench and I travel with the team. I still don't feel right, but I was like I don't care. It's I need to play.
Yeah.
But I still didn't feel right with myself, and so I traveled down to I think we played MK Dons away. I think we go down. I think we lose that game. I think we lose 3-1. And then I come back to Leeds on a Sunday night and I don't feel good. And then I go the next day to training and I go to the physio and I don't complain about much, even when like I have to have a broken leg for you to stop me from training. So I went to the physio, I said, listen, I'm not winding you up, but I felt like I felt like I was having a heart attack the night before. And then it's just like, I need to get scanned. And then that's when we ended up like going down for a scan. And then the doctors in the local hospitals saying, we're 99% certain it's a blood clot. Like it started in your right thigh and moved up and moved to your lungs. Like if it moved to my heart or my brain, I'd have been finished.
Yeah.
But they said obviously it moved to your lungs, but we're 99% certain. And it's like, okay, you may have to be on blood thinners indefinitely. You may never play the game again. And I'm like, interesting. And then it's just like, you kind of like, obviously you do the why me and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm never going to play football again, I need to decide I had another 18 months left of my contract. So I was like, okay, but I still need to do something that's going to help me beyond the game.
Yeah.
That's when I started my masters. And then the second season at Leeds, I'm in and around the team, on the bench, all that kind of stuff. And I think we started that season on fire again. So I'm not really, for me at that point in my career, I was just like, you know what, it's a privilege that I'm still able to do this. So I was just like, you know what, like, I'm not even going to argue. I'm not even going to say nothing. But I want to play. Of course, it's just like every player, you want to play, you don't want to be sitting on the bench. But we start this season fine. I think Beckford is scoring goals like he does. We had Luciano Becchio up top, doing well. I think there's just one game that just really, really like just annoyed the hell out of me. I don't know why, but I was just like so frustrated. I think we just weren't playing well as a team. And then I think the gaffer was just like he puts me on for 2 minutes, and I'm just like they're frustrated. I don't know why. It's like it's so out of character for me. And then it's just like they wanted, obviously when you're on the bench you do running after the game, right, on the field, and I just lost my head and I just like threw my boots down, da 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 da. So the gaffer calls me in the office on the Monday or whatever. And he's just like, I said, sorry. You know what? I said, I apologize. I'm just frustrated. I think I can offer more than just the 2-3 minutes here and there. And then I was just, then at the point he was just like, yeah, you're part of our plans and yada yada yada. And a couple of weeks later, then I'm just bombed out the squad. So I go to see him again. It's like 2 weeks ago, you're part of the plans. Now I'm bombed out the squad. If it's because of what I did, okay, just be honest. That this is the reason. If it's because like you just don't want me as a player, okay, cool. So I said like, okay, if this is how it's going to be in January, I just want to go out on loan or leave. And he's like, if it's right for the club, and I was like, nah, if it's right for me. And so I don't think he liked that. So after that, I'm training with the U19s. So training with the U19s, and then that January I ended up going to Falkirk up in Scotland. I just cancelled my contract with Leeds, and then I ended up going to Falkirk.
And how does that cancel the contract work? Was it like a mutual agreement, like they pay you off a bit of the wages, or have you just ripped it up completely? Or
no, they paid up my contract. They paid up the last like 5-6 months of my contract, and then I ended up signing for Falkirk.
That's cool. So obviously you've gone up north a little bit. You've gone up even further north now. How was that? Was that just ready to get stuck into a different league, see what happens up there? They were in the Premier League at the time, weren't they?
They was in the Premier League. Yeah, I think one of the things with them was like they really wanted me, like regardless. And you're looking at probably in the time I went to Falkirk, for the previous year I probably only played 190 minutes. Full 90 minutes in that from January to January, because obviously for 6 months I was out completely, and then I didn't play. I wasn't playing like the league games for Leeds in that season. So I played one full 90 minutes. So I got up to Falkirk, and I think I arrived like it's snowing. I'm like, I'll just drive in the morning. It's cool. And they're like, no, come today, so you can train tomorrow. I was like, but you know what? Like the roads are not that good. My car skidded all over the place. I'm like, dude, I can just come up tomorrow. He's like, no, just go straight up the A1, straight into Scotland, and we're waiting for you. So I get there about 2 a.m. I've got the chairman of the club, the assistant manager, the manager, all waiting for me in the hotel. And I was like, okay, these guys really wanted me here. And then so the first game we're playing that weekend was, I think it was like a Wednesday. I went up, trained on a Thursday, and that Saturday we're playing Celtic away. I was like, that's a baptism of fire.
Yeah.
If you ever want one. And so, but we end up doing good. We end up drawing the game 1-1, and I'm like running my heart out, like dying afterwards. Like I was like, yeah, my body just like died 1,000 deaths after that game, having like not really played that much football, and then playing on the big pitch that Celtic Park is. And then, but yeah, it was a great atmosphere. I had Lee Bullen up there. Obviously, I knew him from Sheffield Wednesday. He was a player at Sheffield Wednesday when I was there. Like top coach, top guy. So yeah, great atmosphere to be around. And it's like, it was just me getting used to football. And Eddie May was the manager first, and then Stephen Presley, who I'll probably say was one of the better managers I've ever worked with, just in terms of how he comes across, being honest with you, telling you how it is. And that's all I ever asked of a manager. Is like, you don't need to bullshit me. It's just like, I can take it as a man that you may not want me. Okay, someone else would. Just, I had so much rejection in my youth. Like, none of these guys could say anything that really hurt my feelings or say that. Yeah. So it was like, for me, it was just like, just be honest. If you don't want me, I'll just let me sort out my career, regardless. And I think that was always an issue. They tried to sugarcoat things or just keep you around just in case. And I'm like, no, I just want to go play. And then I end up playing like, I think 15 games like on the bounce for Falkirk. I only scored one, but like I think some of the stuff, just being there, I think some were like being and playing every single game when I was fit. It was just like, and even sometimes I wasn't fit. I remember I injured my neck in one game, and I was seeing a chiropractor every week, and I literally couldn't do this. But I was still playing games, so it was that kind of thing. Is like I needed that for that point in my career, just to like.
What happens when crosses were coming in? Could you not see the cross coming in? You just had to hope for it.
yeah. I had to turn my whole body like a bus. And so like, but it was just one of those things where I needed that at that point, just to play games, regardless of what the kind of. It wasn't no pressure on me to like. There was obviously pressure because they did get relegated at the end of that season, but. For me, there was like no pressure in terms of I don't need to go on pressure in terms of like I have to score 10 goals, 15 goals, whatever. It's just about me playing games, getting that match fitness back in again, and then just enjoying the game again. And that's what Falkirk allowed me to do. Obviously, the results wasn't the greatest, but when I arrived, they only won 2 games all season, so we were like, you know what,
on the cards, and
It was on the cards, and Scotland had this thing. I don't know if it was the first year they did it, but they split the leagues.
Yeah.
After 33 games, and it's like, obviously the last 5 games, if one of the bottom teams are playing the top teams, you kind of know they're going to lose that game. And it's like, but everyone was just playing each other, so it was just like then it was just a dogfight, and then we just couldn't get across the line in that last game against Kilmarnock. I think we drew 0-0. So but it allowed me to
go on. Sorry, carry on.
It just allowed me to just like get that playing regularly again in my system, and it just felt good to be up there.
You won goal for Falkirk then. I think it was on your Wikipedia. It's just described as an acrobatic volley against Aberdeen. Do you remember it well?
Yeah. Everyone in the US gets to see it. So like
you got it saved in your favourites every day.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's one of those. If you see there's 1 million views on it, I think all of them is me. So I just want to. It's one of those things. The ball comes in, and it's just like I just caught it sweet on the volley, and then it was a game where I think I set up the first. I played well in the game. I played okay in most of the games. I just didn't score. Hit the crossbar a couple of times. Keepers make some unbelievable saves, and then that game it just connected real nice. And it was against a keeper like Stuart Nelson. I think I scored against him 4 or 5 times during my career. So he came up to me after the game. I didn't even realize. He's like, you always score against me. Like, what is it? Like, you always score against me. So I didn't even realize, but he made it known after the game. Yeah.
So you've gone from living in London, Bristol, Leeds, good city lifestyle. What was that like then moving to Falkirk? Was it a bit of obviously completely different surroundings, but did you enjoy it?
No, they told me, listen, you can't stay in Falkirk. You're a city boy. So I lived in Edinburgh, and Edinburgh is like a half-an-hour drive just into training. Nice. I lived in Edinburgh for like the 6 months I was there, and Edinburgh is a beautiful city. Yeah.
Oh, you've done well. Then you've done well, ticking off the major cities in the UK. You did all right, haven't you?
I've done east, west, north, west, south, all of it.
Then you went to Tranmere. Did you live in Liverpool then?
I did live in Liverpool. Yeah, driving through the tunnel. Yeah, exactly. So
so what was Tranmere like? How did that come about? Did you feel like you wanted to move back to England, or just see what was out there, see what's on the table?
I see what was out there. It's funny because like playing in the Scottish Premier, you get actually more exposure to Europe than you would playing in League One football. So I actually was at when Tranmere called, I was actually like training with Randers in Denmark.
All right.
And Randers, obviously, they have like they play in the Europa League and stuff like that. And I was training out there. I was there for a couple of weeks, but they were like going through like different managers and stuff like that. So when Tranmere called, I was like, there was nothing concrete on the table. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to come back and sign.
How did the Randers one come about? Was that just your agent seeing what was out there, like sort of thing, or did you fancy moving abroad, or like you said, you get more exposure? Is it those leagues sort of like the second tier European leagues? So they just watch each other a bit more and see who they can pick up?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's like even when I went to Scotland the first time, like I had to realize it's like it's their Premier League. So it's like when you see the spreads on the Scottish Sun, and then you see the big page, and it's like you taking up like the whole page, in the back page is like, okay, this is the Premier League, and then even like the press conferences, it's like they do it like the Premier League in England. So you have to like realize that it's Scotland's Premier League is a big deal to them. And so like I think just because obviously Celtic, Rangers, they play Champions League, Europa League qualifiers, there's a lot more connectivity in terms of like Europe and the kind of like the smaller leagues in Europe, just looking for players in that league to say, okay, well, maybe he's playing in one of the smaller teams in the Scottish Premier League, but he can make the step up to go play in one of the top teams in Denmark, Sweden, or whatever, and that do play Europa League and stuff like that. So I think that was how that came about, and I just ended up going out there for a couple of weeks, training with them, and it was like a beautiful little place, good little club. And like they were, I think they were often playing in Europa League qualifiers and stuff like that. So it was I was open. I was like I knew so much in the UK. Is like going abroad is like that's just the next step.
Yeah.
But Tranmere came in. I spoke to the person that was taking the training sessions at Randers, and he was just like, listen, we can't offer you no more. We're just in a little bit of like transition, so you can I would advise you to take the deal because that deal's on the table.
And then that's down to, is it League Two Tranmere in then?
League One.
League One, so they're in League One. All right, okay. So
yeah, in League One.
Used to that level, and you'd be settling okay there. Was it still a pretty decent club to play at? You know, decent stadium and whatever, and fans.
Yeah, it was great there. Especially that first. Literally every time I was fit, even when I wasn't fit, I played. And I think just because of like the 5-6 months I had at Falkirk allowed me to do certain things in my career at Tranmere was like, I think that season I ended up playing 49 games and starting 49 games. So like I was obviously a big part of obviously what the manager was planning. We kind of played 4-5-1, lumped the ball up to me type thing. So by this stage of my career, I'm like officially 100% a target man now. So I'm like, I don't go left midfield, right midfield anymore. It was 100% target man. So at Tranmere was like we played 4-5-1. I remember the papers saying a couple of times it's like they kicked the ball in the general direction of Enoch, and it was like and it was like these fighting defenders and stuff like that. And I remember always like playing against obviously players that I knew from other clubs, and they were like, our team talk was literally just about you. It was like, stop Enoch, you kind of stop Tranmere. And but yeah, so it was interesting. It was fun. It was obviously nice to be first choice, and no matter what. And then yeah, for that first season there, until I cracked a bone in my fib. It was 49 games, top goal scorer, player of the season. So.
And with that, obviously, that must be really good after you had your health issues with your blood clot on your lung. Were you just like really grateful at that stage to be healthy and fit and playing? In the back of your mind, were you always a bit worried? Could something like that return? Whatever, did it make you just appreciate the game a bit more? Yeah,
it was just appreciating the game. And I remember a question, like a conversation I had with Gary McAllister, for instance, and he was like saying, look at all this with Leeds. It's like you get all this beautiful facilities, you get the swimming pool, that kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't care. I'd rather get changed in the shed and play every week. So I think, yeah, at that point just playing for Tranmere, was just like I was just happy, appreciating that I can continue playing. Obviously, I was in an environment where I was first choice striker. I was obviously one of the focal points of that team, And so that allowed me just to like just be myself, enjoy it. No, there was no pressure on I didn't feel any pressure to obviously be anything, do anything, have to do anything. So I'm coming up to like obviously must have been like 28, 29, 30 years old now. So I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to appreciate the game and play as long as possible. But in that environment, it was great because it was like, I'm playing every week, and it's like, and the goal would come because you're playing every week, and it was a good season there.
And at your, like you said, at that stage of your career, like late 20s and stuff, are you starting to see yourself as a bit of a leader in the dressing room? Are you looking after the younger ones? Are you, wanting to give a few team talks, etc., and have a bit of a word?
Yeah, so like so that at that stage is like Tranmere had a pretty young squad. A lot of loan players, a lot of players who just trying to make the grade as a professional. So obviously I was one of the senior pros in the team, and there's a few games that season that I captained the team as well. So it was kind of like just getting some of the younger people's heads right, making sure they kind of see their opportunity. So I was like, listen, it's like you can go anywhere, but you just have to put in the work now. And obviously just because of my story, just like I've always done that. Even when I first signed with Luton, is like I was like, even to the young guys, I was like, don't throw away your education. Like, you're gonna need it at some point in your life. It's like, don't just throw it away. Like, have a bigger picture for what you want to do. So that's always kind of been how I was. But at Tranmere, was like in the dressing room, was like obviously I was one of the older ones and one of the leaders in that dressing room as well.
And then you hadn't done enough cities on your CV, so you thought you'd go to Nottingham after that, yeah?
Exactly. So, I didn't want to leave Tranmere. So by the second season there, actually after my first season, Notts County put in a bid for me, and they said no. They wanted like I think more money or whatever. And then that second season, it was kind of hit and miss. I kept opening up the same spot where I broke my leg. So I was out for 2 months, came back, rushed back, helped the team, got hit on it again, opened up again. And so that season was like a little bit hit and miss. But end of the season, I was willing to stay, and they're like, we can't afford your wages. And it's like a 2-minute conversation with the gaffer, who was a new gaffer, not the one that signed me. It's like he was just like, yeah, we can't afford your wages. We're not going to offer you anything. I was like, okay, cheers, bye. And then that's when I ended up going Notts County and signing there.
Then how was that? A pretty good spell again? You had a good couple of years there, wasn't it? Like you said, you're at the stage of the career now. You're the experienced target man up front.
So Notts County was playing at Notts County was the reason I stopped playing football, like completely. That's the reason I was like, yeah, I'm done with this. It's not enjoyable anymore. So like Notts County was just like, it was an absolute shit show. They had like, obviously Keith Curl signs me. He gives me the number 9. They have Lee Hughes, who's club legend, got them promoted from League 2 to League 1. He doesn't want him at the club, so he gives me his shirt. So all the fans are like paying for my blood already from as soon as I get there, before I even played. And I didn't even realize this until someone told me after this. I did a podcast with someone that's from Notts, and he actually told me. So now I realize why the Notts County fans actually hated me from the beginning. And then because like I had patella tendonitis, in the beginning of the first season I was there, I didn't really I didn't play well, or I played a lot injured, so you didn't get the best of me. And then obviously I didn't really play with Keith Curl. And then the club was like, we want to sell you. No, we're going to pay you up. No, you should go on loan. No, we don't want you to go on loan anymore. Like this is like literally in a space of 3 weeks that happened, all those conversations happened. And then Sean Derry comes in my final season. And then I'm injured at the time, and he's like, listen, I want you part of it. When we're fighting relegation, he's like, were
you with him at Leeds, or was he at Leeds or Luton?
No, wasn't with him then. But he was like to me, and I was just honest to him. I said, listen, I'm not right yet, so like I shouldn't really be on the bench, and you like can't really bring me off the bench because I'm not going to give you what you need in terms of like obviously we're fighting relegation here. So I'm not going to be selfish. And he was just like, thank you for your honesty, but I want you on the bench because I want you to keep motivating the team and going out there and like just putting positive words and stuff like that. Then I get fit and I start playing, and I start scoring a few goals. So I scored like 4 in 8 games, and like, we won a couple of games. Then all of a sudden, like 2 months left to the season, and they're like, Torquay coming for you on loan, you should go. I was like, I've just been scoring goals, playing, and then like we just lose a couple of games, and then all of a sudden you're not part of the fans anymore. And I go down to Torquay. I'm in a bed and breakfast for a month, and then Torquay's like, it was in Torquay.
It wasn't Faulty Towers, was it? A bed and breakfast in Torquay? No?
It wasn't too bad in terms of a bed and breakfast, but like I think they must have spent like 2-3 million on a new training facility, but they didn't build no drainage. It was February, March time, pouring down with rain, so we had to train on a park that was like this. So I was just like, where's my career going? Like, this is done. And then so they're in League Two. The final month of the season, they're like, okay, we're going to renew your loan. And then I don't hear nothing. I'm in a bed and breakfast at the end of the earth. So 5 hours away from Nottingham, 5 hours away from London. Like, I couldn't be bothered to drive anywhere. So I'm waiting for the call to say, okay, let's sign a contract for the next month of the season. Don't hear nothing from them. Then all of a sudden, Plymouth come in last minute and sign me. And I'm like, and then I go to Plymouth, and then like, that's just
even further away.
Firstly, even further away. And then like, so I don't even play. And then so John Sheridan is like, I got him. It's like my birthday is April 21st, right? And then so like I'm going to London. I want to go away for the whole week, enjoy my birthday, my family, and all that kind of stuff. So I go after a game, like I go to the gaffer. I was like, Gaffer, can I have a word? And he's like, you're starting Saturday. And I was like, I don't even want to start Saturday. I was like, okay, cool, that's okay. But can I get the week off and come in Thursday because I want to just go London and celebrate my birthday? And he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. I come in Thursday. Saturday in the team talk, he's like, after 60 minutes, you're coming off. I'm like, no matter how the game's going, I'm coming off after 60 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'm done with football now. I was like, completely, at that point, I was completely done with football. And it was just like, football's like stupid. like stuff
it
like
makes sense anymore, no?
It didn't make sense anymore. And I wasn't really enjoying it. So it was like, for me, it's like, I had the Masters under my belt. I was doing things outside of the game as well. So I was like, you know what, like, I think this is, I didn't really retire. I just like, if an offer comes in that interests me, I will look at it. I didn't really get that. There's teams offering me contracts, and I was like, nope, I'm not coming for that money. Nope, I'm not coming for that. Nope, I'm not coming for that. It's not worth it to me. And I was like, what, you're going to put me in? I'm 33, 34 years old. You're going to put me in digs with 18-year-olds? So it's like, no, I'm not coming. And then so I just decided to step away and just like focus on other things. And then so even that summer, my agent was like, every player I have that's out of contract, they always message me or call me every 2 days, like, what's happening? I didn't hear nothing from you that whole summer. And that summer, I was just like, I was working on doing things like investing and stuff like that, just things I learned from my degree. And then it's like, and from there, it was like, you know what? I don't really need football. I don't really need it. I had a good run. It was like 12 plus years playing in the league. Been to some big clubs, played international football. And I was like, you know what? It's good for me to bow out. If I'm gonna play, it's just gonna be for fun. And that's when I went over to Wildstone with the Wildstone Raider.
Yeah, was he there? Did you see him?
yeah, a couple of times. And then even then, it's like I wasn't enjoying it there, so I was just like, they said this thing about Canvey Island, and I started playing over at Canvey Island because I had like people that I knew there, like mates, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna train a couple of times a week and play on a Saturday there, and then that's what I did for that season.
Then obviously you always had an eye on, you got your degree, did your masters, you've always had an eye on life outside of football. What were your plans? Had you already planned to go a certain direction after your career? And just talk us through what you've done the last few years, really, and how you ended up going to the States. So
the main thing I was looking at obviously was like things in finance. So once that summer that I wasn't calling my agent, I ended up kind of working with a hedge fund in London, just like talking to people about like their finances, and it was like a small hedge fund, so it wasn't like you needed to invest like 150,000, 200,000 into the pot. You can just say, okay, if you had 10k, put 10k and see what it does for you for the next 5 years. 10k that you're not going to miss. And so I was just going around talking to people about just investing in that way. and then I had like a proprietary like trading fund that I was trading myself. So I kind of got into that side of things, and then afterwards, like when there's certain things that happen in your life that just turns it upside down.
Yeah.
So like I meet this lady in London. She's living in Miami. And now she's my wife, and that's why I'm in America.
Wow,
so
wow. Yeah. Weren't expecting that. Then that wasn't your plan. It just happened. Yeah.
No, it just happened. Literally just happened. And then for the last few years, it's like, of course, like people know me in the UK. So in America, like playing League One football, yeah, no one knows you. No one knows who you are. But it's funny because I actually get more love out here because I'm like 6'5". People think I'm a basketball player or a football player,
yeah,
rather than a soccer player. So, but out here, I've just built a network out here in terms of football, and then so now I just saw kind of the American market, what it was like, and then I created like Global Soccer Pathways. It was just like a resource for players that, like myself, at 16 to 21, that I wanted an opportunity, I wanted elite training, I wanted to go pro, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that in the game, but I didn't have those opportunities. So just create that resource for them. So some of it is like just like performance coaching. Some of it is just like the things they need to do to get to the next level. And then I came together actually with Leeds United, which is obviously former team, and Leeds University, which is I'm an alumni for. And so I became head of recruitment of the Carnegie International Soccer Academy. So that's like a college program for internationals to come over to the UK, get a degree, but play a high level football. So that's something that I'm recruiting for at this moment, and we're working with Leeds United and Leeds University closely to get players over, girls and boys, to come over and get that high level training, play good games, showcase games against other pro academies, and just to obviously test their level and see how they can get to the next level. And I think to be honest, I think that's the way forward. The American system, while parts of it is flawed, I think getting an education is just like hugely important for players, because you're trying to get into a 1% market. There's like 250 million players playing worldwide, and there's only like 150,000 registered pros. You need a backup plan.